All right, boys. All right, boys. Share the stream out if you don't mind. We're going to get going here in just a second. And then excuse my demeanor. I've been in Linux command line for a couple hours this morning. Meaning, I got those. I'm sure everybody's going to be like, what are you, high? I don't do drugs. But whenever I've been staring at a screen for a while, all hyped up on Mountain Dew, it's fine. I'm coming at you all like a spider monkey. Yeah, Chip. Yeah, Chip. All right, let's do this. Did I clickbait you hard enough? Good morning and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. And that is yours truly standing in front of you today. I go by Blind Run on the internet. That is my original gamer tag that started all the way back when Steam first released, as well as through all of the fun Xbox stuff. There you go. In real life, I go by Matthew. And today we're going to be talking about Caspa hard fork version 0.12.0, which is what I was working on directly before the stream. We have the 5800 X3D CPU beating out the 12900K in gaming. Then we have the RDNA 3 GPU, the Navi 31 flagship RX 7000 rumors, basically having up to 7 chiplets on the high-end model. Then we're going to be talking about, of course, Elon Musk and his offer to purchase Twitter. Not just a little bit, not just that little 9%, 100% of Twitter. After that, of course, we'll get into our regularly scheduled programming of mining profitability, etc. But before we get into it, here's a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. Boom! And we're back. Let's go ahead and talk about Caspa version, or Caspa. Caspa would be like the Caspa daemon. There you go. It is time to update. We're going to talk about it. 4 hours ago was the release, so you can start updating your nodes now. What is Caspa? Caspa is the coin that I've been spec mining here recently. It is basically a modified version of Heavy Hash. Heavy Hash, for the uninitiated, is optical proof of work. Now, because of the way the hardware needs to be developed for optical proof of work, etc., the proof of work mechanism, or the hardware that is mining it, is going to be your traditional CPU and GPU mining, with, of course, GPU mining being more profitable at this current time. We're going to cover the hard fork and what's going on there, what's mandatory, what's not, all that sort of stuff. And then we'll get into the regular topics afterwards. So, here it is. Like I said, released 4 hours ago on, what is it, April 14th, 2022. This version contains a hard fork at DAA score 146875. 83, estimated to be on the 28th of April, at this time, 1638 UTC. The upgrade is going to be mandatory, and everyone who doesn't upgrade will be split off the network. The main focus of the hard fork is to address the issue of deep side chains that spam the network. After the hard fork is activated, such side chains will be ignored unless they win the block race and have more blue work than the rest of the network. Preferably, if you are in these types of communities, just to give you guys an idea, there are always going to be possibilities of like these hard forks happening. Longest chain wins. This is pretty typical. Since it's a small project, I definitely encourage everybody to move with them, allow them to get their upgrades in, all of that sort of stuff, right? That's our goal as a community here. So here's the breaking changes. Hard fork at DAA score, blah, blah, blah. We already did that. It includes using separate depth than finality depth for merge set calculations, not counting the header size as part of the block mass, increase block version to 1, and removing the limit on amount of CAS that can be sent in one transaction. That's going to be helpful too. Here's some bug fixes. They're making a workaround for the UTXO difficulty child bug, and used cosigner index 0 for read-only wallets. Non-breaking changes: adding a sweep command to the Caspa wallet, use blue work heuristic to skip irrelevant relay blocks, and Caspa wallet daemon, they add a send and sign commands. So just kind of one step at a time, very early project. You have until essentially the 28th of April to get upgraded, to make sure that you're on the right chain, all that sort of stuff, and that you can continue to, of course, mine, earn Caspa, get ready for that exchange listing that is coming up. So that's pretty much the coverage there. Because I do spec mine it, I'm just keeping you guys up to date. I know I haven't done a how-to video on it. Maybe now's a good time, since we just had a major update for the hard fork, so it may be relevant a little bit longer than if I did it like last week or the week before, where we would have to be like, oh, and now there's another update. So we're going to go through it, and we're going to kind of try to put some stuff together for you guys. If you're interested in solo mining it, there is, of course, the option to pool mine, which is a little bit easier. That being said, you're still going to have to set up basically a command line wallet, whether that's in Linux or Windows. We could cover that as well too. But that's pretty much where we sit with Caspa right now. Let's go ahead and get into the tech news for the week, or for the day. AMD Ryzen 7 5800X3D CPU beats the 12900K. Yes, we do have the 12900KS as well that recently launched, and I haven't picked one up yet. I definitely am interested. But why am I not picking that up? And why am I going to pick up a 5800X3D for my CPU for essentially the month, right? I can't afford to buy both. They're not going to really ROI for mining, at least the 12900KS. Part of the reason I want the 5800X3D is the massive amount of cache and the mining potential that it provides. So that is the CPU, which releases on April 20th, that I am interested in purchasing for review on the channel, just to be clear. AMD's Ryzen 7 5800X3D has been tested against the i9 12900K once more, and we will see if DDR5 is enough to keep Alder Lake in the lead. The latest gaming benchmarks for AMD Ryzen 7 5800X3D are once again published by tech outlet Zanzo Gaming, I think is how that would be. Today is the day when other media outlets will be posting their own reviews. The previous benchmarks did feature the AMD Ryzen 5800X3D running against the i9 12900K CPU, but only with DDR4 memory up to 3600 megabits per second. The latest benchmarks show us what the performance looks like when the new 3D V-Cache CPU is tested against Alder Lake with DDR5 memory. For this purpose, a set of DDR5 6000 CL40 memory was utilized, and that gives another price advantage to the red team, considering the high prices attached with going the DDR5 route on the Z690 platform. Meanwhile, users can simply run their existing DDR4 kits on the AM4 platform, and the CPU upgrade alone will allow for much higher performance. As for the benchmarks, besides Assassin's Creed Origins, the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X3D outperformed or managed to stay on par with the i9 12900K plus the DDR5 memory. This is again an impressive showcase of the 3D V-Cache offering a bigger performance bump over Intel's faster Alder Lake CPU for gaming. Another section where the 3D V-Cache really helps is the 1% lows, which are much higher than what the 12900K produces in the same games. So as you can see here, we have The Witcher, and we won't go through all the slides, but the 5800X3D with the obviously DDR4 at 3200 megahertz had a average frame rate of 253 frames per second and a min of 155. Now, what you'll notice is that the 12900K, while above they stated had better min 1% lows, doesn't actually have better 1% lows in The Witcher. So it does get beat out in the average frame rates at 239 frames a second, but on the 1% lows, it maintains 177 frames per second versus, of course, the 5800, which was at 155. That does start to change, though, as you go through some like Strange Brigade. One important note here is async is on in DirectX 12. I think here was DirectX 11, right? And then on the Shadow of War, you have basically null, pretty much null, pretty much the same performance. What's impressive, of course, is that you're talking about a slightly cheaper CPU at $450 US, and it'll hit retail on the 20th of April. From a mining perspective, why are we excited about this CPU? Well, it's a new cache system that's being done. It's stacked cache. It's going to have a ton of L3 cache available, which should mean, in theory, that we will get really good mining performance, especially on algorithms like Raptorium. So that's kind of why we're really interested in it over, of course, the 12900KS, which wouldn't be as much. So there you go. That's why I am interested in that CPU. Let's get into AMD's revolutionary RDNA 3 GPU. AMD's just making the news all day today, and it's pretty cool. Let's get into it. So, AMD's first and upcoming RDNA 3 GPUs, such as the flagship Navi 31 chip for the Radeon RX 7000 series, are rumored to feature up to 7 chiplets. This revolutionary graphics architecture will be utilizing a variety of graphics memory and I/O dies, a first for consumer graphics cards. AMD has been the pioneer of chiplet technology. They brought it to the mainstream consumer segment with their Ryzen CPUs, and now they are going to do the same in the GPU market. There have been several rumors and speculations regarding the use of MCM, which stands for multi-chip module, as a design methodology for the top RDNA 3 GPUs for a while now. In the latest tweet by GreyMoon55, the leaker states that the flagship Navi 31 GPU can feature as many as 7 chiplets. Maybe 31 equals 2 5nm, 4 6nm, 1 interconnected controller, 7 chiplets in total. The AMD RDNA 3 GPU lineup will feature both MCM and monolithic designs and utilize TSMC's 6nm and 5nm process nodes. For the Navi 31 GPU, the flagship is going to feature 2 GCDs based on a 5nm process node, 4 MCDs based on the 6nm process node, and a single I/O die that will also be based on the 6nm process node. The GCD is the graphics compute die, which will be the main GPU chip on board the interposer, while the MCD is regarded as either the memory complex die or multi-cache die, and it will feature the Infinity Cache and the related memory controllers. The I/O die will consist of the media engine and other I/O layers of the chip. We can't say for sure if the MCD will be featured on top 3D stacking or separately on the interposer. The AMD Navi 31 GPU, the flagship RDNA 3 chip, would power the next-gen enthusiast cards such as the 7900 XT. We have heard that AMD will drop CU compute units in favor of WGP workgroup processors on its next-gen RDNA 3 GPUs. And here's some architecture layouts for you guys. You can go look at it via the links down in the description below. You have your synchronization links, and then boom, 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 and then how it all connects to the memory. So the memory here is split up between the two, or between the sets, sorry. The Navi 31 GPU configuration here features 2 GCDs and a single MCD. Each GCD has 3 shader engines, 6 in total, and each shader engine has 2 shader arrays. Each shader array is composed of 5 WGPs, and let's see, and each WGP features 8 SIMD32 units with 32 ALUs. These SIMD32 units combine to make up 7,680 cores per GCD and 15,360 cores in total. The Navi 31 MCD will be linked to the dual GCDs via next generation Infinity Fabric interconnect and features 256 to 512 megabytes of Infinity cache, which is, look, man, I really want that Infinity cache to start being leveraged in an algorithm, but that's fine. Each GPU should also feature 4 memory connect links. That's a total of 8 32-bit memory controllers for a 256-bit bus interface. That's important because that will affect mining performance. 256-bit bus, obviously a pretty big bus, but not as large as like the 384-bit we've seen in the 3000 series GPUs. AMD has been kind of ditching the larger memory bus interfaces for, of course, the Infinity Fabric to compensate for that. One of the things to note there, though, is that in traditional mining algorithms, we haven't seen a big boost in that performance level. So with that 256-bit bus, we are still going to get slightly faster GDDR6, but that's also going to be happening on the refresh with the 6950X all the way down to the 6650X. My assumption here is whatever the 6950XT basically gets in mining performance is what the top end 256-bit bus 7000 series would get as well, provided we don't see some sort of changes in algorithms to compensate or leverage the Infinity Fabric. And as so far, even with the 6000 series, there hasn't been anybody within the mining scene that has leveraged the current architecture, which does feature a rudimentary version of the Infinity Fabric in it, right? So I'm not really expecting much mining-wise, improvement-wise on these particular GPUs. There have been several rumors stating that the upcoming RDNA 3 GPUs are going to outperform whatever NVIDIA has to offer in terms of rasterization performance. It looks like AMD will take the lead by offering the first MCM-powered GPUs under its Radeon RX graphics card lineup. But at the same time, NVIDIA is expecting to quickly transition to its MCM GPU lineup, which will offer over 3 times performance boost over Ampere GPUs. So there you go. That is the information we have. I'm pretty excited for it, for sure. I think, like, from the tech nerd side, from the gaming side, all that stuff, RDNA 3 is looking fantastic. From the mining side, like I said, whatever we see happens with the new, slightly faster 6950 XT and its bump in memory speeds, it still has that 256-bit bus. I don't think that we're going to see much performance improvement over the current available GPU mining algorithms than we will over kind of the refresh here on the 6950 XT all the way down to the 6650 XT. That being said, there could be something that comes down later down the pipeline, which favors, of course, some sort of utilization of the Infinity cache. And if that is the case, it could get really interesting really quickly. So now we have the big news for today. I'm sure everybody woke up to this. It's probably like blasting your timeline everywhere now because it's blasting my timeline. Elon Musk has offered to buy 100% of Twitter. Will this happen? Maybe, maybe not. He is basically kind of offering a lowball cut. We're going to get into it, but this was the first kind of tweet I saw, so I wanted to bring this one up. It says, Brett Taylor, chairman of the board, I invested in Twitter as I believe it is in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe, and I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functioning democracy. However, since making my investment, I now realize the company will neither thrive nor serve this social imperative in its current form. Twitter needs to be transformed as a private company. As a result, I am offering to buy 100% of Twitter for $54.20 per share in cash, a 54% premium over the day before I began investing in Twitter and a 38% premium over the day before my investment was publicly announced. My offer is my best and final offer, and if it is not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. Twitter has an extraordinary potential. I will unlock it. This is getting very interesting because we can start talking about the different options we have moving forward with everything, right? So this really does come down to centralization versus decentralization. And while I know for a lot of people this seems very exciting, because of the potential for Twitter to be transformed into something that some people would feel means that they would be able to speak their mind and so on. But I want to remind you guys, the battles we're facing right now is centralization versus decentralization. Is a single owner of Twitter moving towards centralization or decentralization? What is the true answer to solving freedom of speech, etc.? Is it putting it all into the hands of a single person, a private entity, or is it taking it out and giving it to the people? Does this mean that I don't think that that Elon should be doing this? Not necessarily. I think Twitter as a platform, though, is not the platform we're really wanting to move towards and further centralization in it. So, do I think there's potential here for a short-term good result? Possibly. Do I think it is the ultimate goal of where we want to move forward as a society into? And then I would say no. I'm more for moving towards maybe more of a decentralized option, something like Minds, or on the video platform side, we would be talking about Odyssey and Library. The hard part there is user base. And I think that Elon is very aware of the user base tech giant problem, right? So it's almost like a brute force attack on these platforms. And it's very interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Let's get some more information and read a couple more articles surrounding it. We have CoinDesk saying Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter for $41.3 billion. By the way, I did go ahead and do the conversion for you guys to Dogecoin to get my clickbait in here. And as you can see here, that would end up being about 285 billion Dogecoin. And if, I think, if Elon decides to not purchase Twitter, they turn it down, maybe he should just buy a bunch of Dogecoin. Another thing that's interesting is every single time Elon does anything, we get a pump in Dogecoin. Why is that? It has nothing to do with Dogecoin, but just by nature of Elon saying anything or talking on the interweb that makes a stir, apparently Dogecoin pumps. Pretty funny. All right, so Tron founder Justin Sun responded by tweeting he would offer $60 a share compared with Musk's $54.20. Interestingly, I wonder if Justin Sun is really going to buy 100% of Twitter. Elon Musk, the CEO of electric car maker Tesla, offered to buy social media company Twitter for about $41.3 billion in cash. The $54.20 a share offer is a 38% premium over the day before Musk's investment in the company was made public earlier this month, according to a filing with the SEC. Musk plans to take the company private in order to, quote, go through the changes that need to be made, end quote, he wrote in a text to Twitter chairman Brett Taylor, replicated in the filing. In late March, Musk criticized the social media platform for failing to adhere to the principles of free speech, saying that it serves as a, quote, de facto public town square, end quote, and this failure therefore undermines democracy. Now, I think that obviously we've heard this narrative around everywhere surrounding, all the platforms and free speech. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I understand the arguments from all the sides. We could go hardcore libertarian and we could say, it's a private company. They can do with the company as they wish. We could go more towards I don't know what it would be exactly. Maybe like liberal, or you could say conservative or whatever, but you could move that out and say that it should be, basically there's an argument for making all these platforms as well as the internet a utility, which would be a public space. Now, de facto public town square is kind of the interesting argument that we get into here when you have a platform or a set of platforms that are completely kind of ubiquitous. What do they really turn into? And when it surrounds free speech, it also gets very interesting too, because we are accustomed to the idea of free speech in the town square and so on. So the argument here is that it's become the de facto public town square. Therefore, it should adhere to, at least within democratized countries, a free speech platform. And that's kind of where things kind of get interesting surrounding all of this. Now, do I have the solution for you guys as far as all this is surrounded? Probably not, because I'm very aware that the tech giants are just so massive. It feels a little bit difficult to basically influence them at all, right? But at the same time, I do think, and I'll go back to this, I think pushing towards decentralization is the way, not pushing for more centralization. That was the tweet there, though. So, quote, I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe, and I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functioning democracy, end quote, Musk stated. I agree with that mostly, except for I don't think that necessarily Twitter has to be that. Following Musk's filing, Justin Sun, the founder of Tron blockchain, tweeted a thread in which he said he would offer $60 a share for the company. He said, I believe Twitter is far from unleashing its full potential. Thus, I am offering $60 per share to take the platform private. But we fully support the reform initiatives of Elon Musk and would love to see Twitter become crypto native and Web3 friendly. And that one gets even more interesting because now, to me, though, this seems like a Tron advertising opportunity more than it does seem like a genuine offer. In addition, $60 per share was not stated to be cash either. And I also don't know that he has the $1 billion worth to actually purchase it. Who knows? I guess it is what it is. Twitter shares surged more than 12% in pre-market trading following the news. They were traded recently at about $48. Musk took a 9.2% stake in Twitter for an estimated $2.89 billion earlier this month, quickly followed by an announcement that he would be joining the company's board of directors. However, CEO Parag Agrawal, I can't say that one, I apologize, said a few days later that a board position was no longer on the cards. Quote, my offer is my best and final offer, and if it's not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder. This is kind of weird too, because it seems like what Musk is betting on is that they'll say, oh no, if we don't do this, Musk will dump his 10% shares and drive the price of the shares down. And to a certain extent, I think that was intentional. Let me know what you guys think. Owning the Tesla Owing to the Tesla CEO's well-known interest in cryptocurrency, his announcements often make ripples in the crypto world. Meme-based crypto Dogecoin enjoyed an 11% spike following the news of Musk's Twitter investment, when we were just talking about that. Twitter has also established itself as a crypto-friendly platform over recent months, adding the ability to send tips in Bitcoin last September, with the facility extended to Ether in February. So this one's getting really interesting. There's lots of weird stuff going on in the world. There is the official SEC filing, which you can check out. There's a link down below in the channel. I am definitely looking forward to questions and answers and chatting with you guys at the end of this for sure. But before we get into that, let's talk about mining profitability for the day. And it is up over yesterday. And as you can see, we didn't have the spike for the past 24 hours. So this is a little bit more accurate than it was yesterday. Meaning that for yesterday, we ended up with 0.072, which equated to $222 US. And today we are looking at just above that at 0.073 with $224 in US dollars. Now, part of my problem here is that you can see the hash rate's already going down. It's going to get hot outside. We're going to have lower hash rates for the day, and this will probably adjust back down to around what this is. At the night, it kind of pumps up and it kind of messes with my estimated daily profits. If we take a look at Luck Pool, we still do have Real Ragos doing some donations, so thank you there. And we are at 1.3 Varus coin a day. You know, I haven't been staking Varus coin, and we're going to get into staking it. There's no staking limit for Varus coin, so I'm definitely looking at that. Right now, I feel like I got to get the Caspa node up and running and syncing, so that'll be first priority. Then after that, I'm going to look into the staking, maybe do a Varus coin staking video for you guys as well. Let's take a look at mining profitability for the RTX 3090. We'll adjust out the Zell hash to reflect the mini Z hash rate. And we have Ethereum in first place at $4.31 a day. If we scroll down, we have Zell hash at $3 a day on NiceHash. Remember, we've been talking about this problem. We've been complaining about it. We don't know a fix. We know there's a problem. We don't know the fix, because if you mine Flux directly, you're only making $2.71 a day. Part of this is primarily due to the fact that it's like a 50% node, 50% mining kind of setup. We have Conflux at $2.84 a day, Ryo at $2.87 a day, Ethereum Classic at $2.76 a day, Ergo at $2.58 a day, and Ravencoin at $2.32 a day. Mining pool stats, we'll just go ahead and make sure no big changes have happened to hash rates or anything like that. 224 exahash a second on Bitcoin, no big changes. If we take a look at Ethereum, it should be around 1 petahash, and boom, as presumed, it's at 1 petahash. No big changes on Ethereum. If we take a look at Ethereum Classic, we're expecting around 28 terahash a second, and boom, we're right at 28 terahash a second, staying steady. The most promising altcoin outside of Ethereum right now, as kind of the hash rate has steadied out along with the profitability. Now, it is down 13% today, though, down to 37.41 per Ethereum Classic. Let's take a look at Flux, and presumably we'll just be seeing these random spikes on solo pools like we are here for miner pool, which is why we see the NiceHash rentals more than mining directly. That definitely does make mining Flux very unpredictable. And just like Flux being unpredictable, we also have the Ergo problem, but a different problem with Ergo in the fact that they have a delayed difficulty increase, which means that as the hash rate goes up, the difficulty doesn't go up with it in conjunction. It usually goes up a few days delayed. And what this is causing is these little bumps. You see the bumps all over here. And it's been more pronounced lately as people start trying to find a different coin to mine other than Ethereum post-merge. And the problem is what ends up happening is you have low hash rate while you have really high difficulty, and you have high hash rate while you have really low difficulty, and it keeps inverting, making it very unpredictable to mine, and is a significant issue with the Ergo platform that needs to get resolved, in my humble opinion. Now, if we take a look at Ravencoin, we should be still kind of right around, 3 terahash a second, and it's been declining in difficulty. It's been all over the place as well on hash rate. Then finally, we did that one. I think that is going to be all we're going to take a look at today. Let's look at mining pool profitability on Ethereum. Last 90 days, we have Flex Pool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, ZET in third. For the last 60 days, we have Mining Pool Hub in first, Flex Pool in second, and ZET in third. For the last 30 days, we have ZET in first, Flex Pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. For the last 21 days, we have Flex Pool in first, ZET in second, Ethermine in third. For the last 14 days, we have Flex Pool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, Crazy Pool in third. For the last 7 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, Flex Pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. For the last 3 days, we have ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Flex Pool in third. For the last day, we have ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Ethermine in third. And they are no longer pulling the API from 2 miners, so keep that in mind. We don't have the information on that site for 2 miners. ASIC mining profitability, the Jazz miner is still in first place at $113 a day for the 2500 mega hash model. The KD6 is still under $100 a day at $94 a day. KD5 is down to $63 a day. Antminer L7's at $42.67 a day. On NiceHash, if you merge mine, you should get close to that, as Doge is at $30 a day. Merge mining means mining Litecoin and Dogecoin at the same time, essentially, which is capable on script. So keep that in mind. Then, if we scroll down to the S19 Pro, it's up a little bit to about $17 a day. On Digibyte, if you're going to be mining specifically Bitcoin, you're probably closer to $13 to $15 a day right now. I do like to take a look at BT miners for any sales that have been going on, just in case, but I didn't notice any today. You still have the KD box at 6,200 for the sale, 9,500 on the S19 Pro, and 2,000 on the Gold Shell X5. So nothing significant as far as this is concerned, but please use the affiliate link down in the description if you decide to purchase an ASIC from BT miners. All right. Let's get into questions and answers, boys. So, super chats are never required, always appreciated, easiest to read, so they get answered first. Outside of that, tagging at Son of a Tech will turn the message orange, and I will be able to read it much easier. The first super chat of the day was from Anonymous Miner, $10, says, "Here's for the morning coffee, dude. Keep on keeping on." Thank you, good sir. I did go get a Red Bull this morning and realized that Red Bulls are experiencing significant inflation, and I will need to rethink my Red Bull purchasing decisions. Edgarus the Fifth says, at Son of Attack, Flux Direct is lower because you're forgetting about the 50% of parallel assets. The parallel assets are supposed to be calculated into what to mine. I'd confirmed that with the Flux team as well. And so there is that to keep into account. Chadwick's Racing, and we can also clearly see, just to be clear, we show it every time. You can see that what's happening is huge spikes in solo mining coming directly from NiceHash. That's the problem that we're talking about with Flux. Chadwick's Racing says, at Son of a Tech, when is the merge? When is the merge? We talked about that all week. It's a few months away from June. It's about all we know. That's what? 3 to 5 months from June. September would be the middle ground for that. That's what Tim said yesterday. CoinDexter says, at Son of a Tech, which GPU are you more likely to buy? The 6600 non-XT, 6800 XT, or the 3070 Ti? I don't like any. I guess I'd go with the 6600 non-XT. Johanna says, Ask Simon Tech, how is your coin miner? Still dead and still not shipped back or RMA'd, and it looks like they've stopped selling them at BT Miners. I have sent an email requesting information on exactly what is going on, and when I get a report, I'll let you guys know. And we'll probably have an updated review for the coin miner and some stuff surrounding that. Doc Duggan says, Ask Simon Tech, looking for help understanding how NiceHash can be profitable, essentially changing from ETH to Flux, for example, but moving such large hash doesn't seem to drop the profit. Well, let's see. So when we are talking about NiceHash, it's important to understand that you are not mining ETH or you're not mining Flux necessarily. Well, you are, but what you're really doing is putting your miners on basically an exchange for people to rent. And so your profitability on NiceHash is going to be determined by the marketplace and how much people want to pay to mine any specific given coin. One of the things that happens that gets a little interesting is that even though there might be like Flux here and ETH makes you a little bit more on NiceHash, because of the way the market works, when people are renting out that hash rate, it can drive the price of other altcoins to be more valuable on NiceHash just due to the fact that they have to compete still with everybody that's renting hash rate for Ethereum. So that's kind of why you get kind of a weird setup there. The other thing to talk about though, with that in particular, is that if your mining profitability directly mining that coin, said coin, like Ethereum's a great example. If it goes up directly mining it because there were some blocks that were super high, like they end up having like a ton of fees, you know, like those 50 ETH blocks that we were seeing on 2 miners. If that happens, that's going to go to the person that rented the hash rate from you. That's not going to go to you. So your profitability will be lower than all the rest of the miners that have been mining Ethereum directly. And this is kind of like all the weird caveats that happen with NiceHash. It can be a little bit more stable in some cases, and then it can like lose out really hard in other cases. And you have to think of it basically as a trading platform, not as a mining platform. I think like once you start understanding that essentially it is an exchange, just the product isn't the cryptocurrency itself, but the hash rate for said cryptocurrency, then you start to understand the caveats surrounding NiceHash. Pay Me in Crypto says, Ask Simon Tech, do you own 100% of your YouTube channel? I own 100% of my YouTube channel and 100% of my mining farm. Nobody else owns anything in relation to anything Son of a Tech, period. I don't even have any loans taken out on any of it. Witcherwork says, Ask Son of a Tech, do you have experience with mining Filecoin? Do you think it's profitable for the long term as passive income? I don't know that about profitability, but I would hope that Filecoin moves into a position that allows it to provide persistent storage to Web3. Profitability, I'm not actually really that concerned with Filecoin in particular, because I think that what it offers could end up being profitable, but it's hard to say. It could be anything else, right? Michael Grayson says, Ask Son of a Tech, can all the miners fork and keep mining ETH after the merge? No, that is what the difficulty bomb is there to do. So you have to keep in mind, why are they timing the merge with the difficulty bomb? They're timing the merge with, and this is to their own detriment too. You guys need to keep in mind, this is a very funny thing that happens with the merge. So we've talked about this before. When the difficulty bomb goes off, the less miners that are mining, the slower the block times get. So as it artificially increases in difficulty, Ethereum actually needs more people to come onto the network and begin mining for them. But in reality, what will happen is because of the artificial difficulty bomb increase, less and less people will start mining for them. So they will have an accelerated timeline to get that pulled off. Why do they have a difficulty bomb? The only reason they have a difficulty bomb is to make sure that miners cannot fork Ethereum no matter what. That is the goal. So the difficulty bomb is specifically put into place to prevent the exact situation you are asking about. They want it to make it absolutely impossible for Ethereum to be mineable once they do the merge. That's why they have to time the merge with the difficulty bomb. The difficulty bomb has to go off when the merge is ready. That's how it has to go. So merge and difficulty bomb, they have to go together so that they don't allow any miners to fork off Ethereum. Because otherwise what would happen is the network would stay, same difficulty, miners keep mining it, and it would split off into its own chain like Ethereum Classic. So the only option really, right, is to just go back to Ethereum Classic, and that's going to be the closest you can get to having a fork split because, well, it was a fork split. Dan San says, at Son of a Tech, what do you use? T-Rex and Team Red Miner or LOL Miner? Or have you tried the new T-Rex? I haven't tried the T-Rex beta. No, currently I use a lot of LOL Miner and Team Red Miner. Let's take a look at Pay Me in Crypto. Thanks for the $19.99 in the chat. And then 4EMH says, what is the progress with SoCoin? No recent progress. Some updates to the C++ as far as like naming stuff. So just different renaming variables and so on from the smart chain. And nothing beyond that. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff I got going on right now. And I do want to work on it. But I think here in a couple months, I'm going to have a lot of extra time. And then we'll get going. Detroit Iris says, ask Son of a Tech when merge. What to mine post and tonight's lotto numbers. Yeah, man. I can't answer all of that, can I? DJ Mines in the chat. Make sure you guys go follow DJ Mines on YouTube. DJ Mines, be sure to post your link to your channel in chat. Hawk Mining, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, at Son of a Tech, good morning. I was waiting for the merge question of the day. What is the temp of your farm usually? How do you vent hot air? We've already talked about this before. I have no ventilation right now. The things that we are doing is basically leaving the door open all day when it's hot and just working out there. That's pretty much it. Magic Lucky says, Rabid hit his ETH solo block on 2 miners. Just put out a video 30 minutes ago. It took him 3.5 months of soloing. Well, congratulations to him. Hopefully it was a big block. And I don't know how much hash rate that was, but pretty cool. Brent Donald says, at Son of a Tech, I listen to you every morning, man, on the way to work. I appreciate your content. I appreciate you listening and supporting the channel for sure. We need it in these crazy times. Tomek says, at Son of a Tech, RTX 2060 12 GB for 440. Any good for mining Ether Flux? Not sure. I trust the what to mine numbers. The RTX 2060 Super, I would maybe say is worth it, but not the 2060 necessarily. Maybe somebody in chat can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know why I feel like that's expensive for the 2060, but I do. Mike Wright says, at Son of a Tech, new T-Rex miner getting more hash than LOL miner on the 3060. Well, the new T-Rex miner is in beta and most of the downloads are unverified with no SHA, so I'm not going to recommend downloading it because that seems like a big old virus potential. Coindexter says, at Son of a Tech, what are you most excited for in the crypto space in the next 2 years? That's an interesting question. I think it's Web3 for sure. Decentralization of platforms. So we've seen a lot of that starting to happen. It's really going to come down to the adoption by the public, right? So it's going to come down to the public adopting these platforms, utilizing things like Odyssey and Library, utilizing things like Flux for all their dev work and all that sort of stuff. That's what I'm looking forward to. A decentralized option for the internet, just for the use of, for the people, without the interference of, you know, big tech conglomerates like whatever, you know. I think that giving people the space to work together without, you know, being restricted in centralized manners, giving people the opportunity to have, you know, development environments in Web3 that are cheaper than maybe a centralized environment, all that sort of stuff, right? BL says that's how Tech bought new EVGA 1660 Super from Newegg, has newer BIOS, stable at 1100 core clock, 3000 memory, getting 32 mega hash a second at 78 watts. That sounds pretty good. And he says that's on T-Rex miner. Scott Schultz says, ask Son of a Tech, what side of the Bitcoin block wars would you say you're on? In an ideal world, are you a big block or a small block? I don't really actually have a dog in that fight because I don't have enough research to comment on it intelligently, in my humble opinion. Man, we got lots of time for questions and answers today because I did not get enough articles, I suppose. But that's fine. Let's keep doing it. Let me check my my node progress. Hey, done applying the pruning proof. One block of header. I think it's almost going. We processed one block. We need the other stuff to happen. But hopefully that keeps rolling. Edgar says, at Son of a Tech, I can't see ETH surviving after 2.0. Its losses, it loses all decentralization and security. Eventually some other coin will overtake. People will be shocked when 2.0 will go live. And fees, I guess I need it typed out a little bit better, bud. I think, like, obviously, like, a lot of people want to say, like, losing the decentralization, you know, as far as that goes, it lost decentralization the day it was released. Like, that was never a question as far as that goes. So can it survive without decentralization? Yes, it can. I think the security question, I think the security problem is one that can be resolved, but won't be, meaning, like, I agree with you on security. I think it will lose a lot of security. It's obvious that they're already having some issues surrounding that. So I would agree there, but I disagree on the decentralization affecting the price because I think that it's been centralized since day one. So that's how I feel about it. Van Theros says, ask Son of a Tech, the official T-Rex Discord has the download. Yeah, but when I clicked it, it doesn't have any SHA information. Look, if I can verify the information, then I'm all good with that. But it's also not in Hive OS right now either. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. I'll wait for the official release. Dan Sand says, ask Son of a Tech, the official GitHub release, to be clear. Dan Sand says, ask Son of a Tech, as of non-financial advice, have you thought of getting any alt metaverse coin for future investment? Maybe your kids, blah, blah, blah. I think, like, Bitcoin is the coin or the play for posterity, if that makes sense. Brandon Gasper says, ask Son of a Tech, so should we just rename a pump and dump to an Elon? I don't know. Well, the threat of the pump and dump, we talked about that earlier. I mean, that does seem what he did. Seemed to be what he did. The Stick Shark says, ask Son of a Tech, EVA dropped prices on some GPUs. I don't know if you saw. I haven't looked yet, but I believe it. I know Asus already did, so that would be good. Detroit Iris says, ask Son of a Tech, have you decided on what you're doing for ventilation on the new building? Yeah, it'll be basically one big fan in the top, two big fans, intake fans on the front. Kind of like, basically like a big old PC. That'll be exactly how it's set up. Phoic Mining says, ask Son of a Tech, have you tried buying multiple GPUs at Micro Center yet? I thought they had lifted the buy limit at Micro Center in Virginia this morning. Still would only let you buy one. I have not. I have to save up some money and wait on more power, really, at this point. We have a $5 super chat from Bojangles saying, made it to the show. Appreciate every morning show. I appreciate you watching it, man. It definitely helps. Let's see. That's Son of a Tech. Any news on the Dr. Disrespect game? Did they already choose the first 50K players? I don't know. I haven't looked it up in a bit. I guess we could do a quick Google. Chameleon says, Ask Simon Tech, I want to thank you for doing this show in the morning. It helps me in keeping the know. Not sure why you don't have more likes on this. Just probably because I didn't say, hey, everybody, hit the like button. We try to say at the beginning of the show. Definitely, guys, like if you find the show beneficial, the best thing you can do is share the show out. Yeah, maybe you don't have that many followers on Twitter. Maybe you don't have that many friends on Facebook. It doesn't matter. If it's one person, it's one person that helps the show out. And hopefully what we're doing is providing more information for everybody surrounding the subject, right? Jaswell says, Ask Simon Tech, XFX 5700 XT keeps crashing even with no overclock setting in HiveOS. Switch back to stock BIOS, still can't get it reliable. Temps look fine. Any ideas? Maybe some core degradation issues possibly going on. Do you have a crash error log? Snarks Domain says, Ask Simon Tech, T-Rex 25.10 works really well in HiveOS, but requires overriding the 25.9. Ramir Espinoza says, Ask Simon Tech, what use mining software I use for 1660 Super with Micron memory? As far as like the 1660 Super, you can use anything from LOL Miner to T-Rex. It shouldn't have, any of the miners aren't really going to have a huge impact on the 1660 Supers. At least I think T-Rex is pretty much the best though for that one. CryptoMan 5000 says, Ask Simon Tech, I took a significant loss in altcoins. Any chance they return? Yeah, in a few years. What is it, 2025 during the next Bitcoin big old cycle. The Bitcoin cycle. Infamous Goblin wants to tell everybody that he loves them and he loves me. He's got to go to work. He says, much love. Have a wonderful day and keep on keeping on. Yes, sir. You too. Come at work like a spider monkey, bro. Let's see. What was it? But come on. $2.4. So I want to show you guys this. Bonus rewards included by default. If that's helpful. For people listening, that's bonus rewards by default for Flux, essentially. Make sure you tag Ask Simon Tech so I can read it easier. And kind of go from there. Let's see. George says, at Simon Tech, are you getting paid in Bitcoin on 2Miners pool? Yes, I currently am. Brian Nichols says, at Simon Tech, can you talk more about the Bitcoin supercycle? Can you explain it to people that don't understand what a supercycle is and how it works? The supercycle is all based around the halving of Bitcoin. So, and we've talked about this in like dedicated videos, but all you really need to understand is that essentially Bitcoin mining has a minting process that goes into it. It's not dissimilar from pretty much any other cryptocurrency. What does that mean? The minting process of Bitcoin is done through the mining itself. When a block is mined, think of the block as basically a ledger of all the transactions somebody wants to make at that time. That gets solved by a miner, and as a reward, Bitcoin mints some Bitcoin and gives that out to the miner. Every 4 years, what happens is the newly minted Bitcoin is cut in half. This next time it'll go from approximately 6 Bitcoin to 3 Bitcoin per block. The last one was from 12 Bitcoin to 6 Bitcoin per block. This has a direct relation on the pricing of Bitcoin. Why does it have a direct relation to the price of Bitcoin? Is because miners have to pay power to basically cover their costs. So, and cover their, basically pay power out of the Bitcoin that they've mined. So when they get less Bitcoin for solving a block, the price of Bitcoin has to go up to compensate for the actual cost in US dollar or whatever fiat currency to actually cover the cost of power. So the super cycle refers to the halving happening, which then causes a price increase because the miners up the price of the Bitcoin that they're now newly minting. The newly minted Bitcoin ends up going up in price because they're getting less of it. And then basically what you hit is a point to where the public sees this increase in price of Bitcoin and kind of starts buying Bitcoin, which drives the price up even further because they don't understand that what it is just an economical problem that's happening here. It'll shoot way up. Well, once it shoots way up because it hits that euphoria stage and everybody's investing in Bitcoin, it usually takes about 2 years and then it'll come back down. And this is the cycle that it goes into. So then it'll come back down and kind of crash back out of the euphoria. It'll come down to a level place where it usually settles into a spot where miners are still able to reasonably pay for power, but you don't have that crazy euphoria. Then it'll sit at that kind of bear market level or sideways movement for 2 years. Then the halving will happen again. And because of the economics involved, of course, the amount of Bitcoin that is newly minted being paid out to the miners will be reduced. Therefore, the miners need to increase the price of Bitcoin when they're selling it to cover their power costs, which then will make it look like Bitcoin is going back up in price. And the general public will get baited once again and shoot that shit into euphoria and rinse and repeat every 4 years. This is basically what the super cycle refers to in the most basic terms I can explain it to you in. Hopefully that helps. Brent Donald says, Ask Son of a Tech, I'm buying up 20 series cards to mine Flux. 30 series in general just seem bad for it. If you had to choose between Ethereum Classic and Flux after merge, what would you choose? I would choose Ethereum Classic for a multitude of reasons. Primarily, though, is going to be that the algorithm is not demanding on the core. And in a mining farm setting, when you have rigs that are powering off and powering back on, and the fact that most cores are cooled by or utilize not thermal pads, but thermal paste. The thermal paste degrades faster, and you do have a higher chance of core failure than you would for memory failure. So from an infrastructure provider standpoint, from the idea of wanting the longevity of the GPUs to be obviously lengthened, I prefer ETH hash over the algorithm for Flux or Zelhash. That also includes, like, if you wanted to compete with like Ravencoin or anything else. Now, from a new idea standpoint, from a technological standpoint, I would maybe push towards Flux. Again, though, we have a built-in dev fee for Flux, which is fine. We can treat Flux as, in my opinion, a tech stock, not as a cryptocurrency. For a decentralized NFT platform, I think I just go Ethereum Classic. For a decentralized smart contract platform, I would go with Ethereum Classic if we wanted to talk about the tech and so on and all of that. So that's kind of my reasoning, though. From an infrastructure provider standpoint, I would prefer Ethereum Classic because the longevity of the cards will be better due to pretty much the ability to undervolt and underclock the core, which means that I have less chance of basically having core degradation. Emmanuel Aris says, Ask Son of a Tech, do you think Ethereum will continue to thrive after the merge? I feel like if you lose the miners, you lose a large portion of the user base. This is one that's interesting because obviously, like I saw from BitBoy Crypto, they had like a tweet that said it's going to be a rough, bumpy ride because of the delay of proof of stake on Ethereum. I think from an outsider's like trading analysis perspective, everybody wants Ethereum to move proof of stake for that anticipation of the price to go up. And the longer they promise proof of stake and don't deploy proof of stake, the less trust there is in the foundation as a whole, in the developers as a whole, and so it can drive the price down. It could be a situation where it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, and essentially Ethereum ends up being in a position where even if they merge, they also have the issues because they will have, of course, miners hopping off, which means there won't be as much participation on the network. One thing to take into account is a lot of the trading and so on that's going on is automated by mining pools right now. So the way it looks like the daily trade volumes for Ethereum and so on, those are artificially increased by the mining pools. So the numbers will look significantly worse initially post-merge because you're not going to be having all of that trading volume going on that is being automated by the pools. That may, of course, look like a bad sign to a lot of traders, which could drive the price of Ethereum down. The other thing that we have to take into account is that we have locked withdrawals from Ethereum as well, which means essentially once you've staked Ethereum post-merge, there is no operation to allow people to withdraw that, and that will come later in a different EIP down the road. Pretty much all good things about proof of stake or that were supposed to come along with proof of stake have been delayed significantly, and the only thing that they're trying to force through is proof of stake. It can also, though, of course, reduce fees, which is good, but the scalability is not there. We also learned that you aren't going to have the scalability on the execution layer. You basically have the execution layer just remaining on ETH1, which is why they have to move that portion to proof of stake. And I think there's a lot of problems there that are going to cause some questionability within the investment market. And with other technologies that are coming along that are already scaling good, that are already on proof of stake, from an investor standpoint, I think that they're looking at things like Solana and Cardano and Polkadot, etc. And all of those are posed to basically be, take over that NFT space from Ethereum. And so I agree, but those are this is the way I articulate it, right? A little bit more so people understand why. Just the mining problem isn't the only problem here, right? Chadwick's Racing says, that's some of a tech for Flux, though. The parallel assets are not unlocked at this time. Is that correct? No, some are unlocked. I believe 5 are unlocked, 3 are not. Something around, or 5 are unlocked, 9 are not, or 4 are not, something like that. We could go to miner pool and look real quick. Let me just get a random wallet address here. I'm not currently mining it, but here. So in the blue means that they're getting paid out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 currently available. So I was correct on that. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are not available for parallel assets as of yet. So that is the number there for you. Boxy says, ask Tech, any recommendations for hosting in Texas? You're out of state and wondering how to host a rig in the area with cheap electric. You could check with Pro Direct Mining, who we did an interview with. You can search it on this channel, and they'll have that information for you if you're interested in doing it. Sorry, these lights get really bright and I start rubbing my eyes. It's hard to like bounce back between like bright screen, bright light over and over. Let's see. Boy Matthew says, ask Tech, do you hold some Ethereum Classic? Not right now. I minted a few NFTs just to play with it. That's about it. Hugo Down says, ask Tech, do you a do's and don'ts of setup for LLC for mining? Do you want a do and don'ts for the LLC for mining? I'll let you know once I have survived more than a year. How's that sound? Is that a deal? Look, I'm new to this, so I'm learning and I try to give you guys the information as I learn, but I don't have that down yet, right? I'm also very conservative on that because I would never say that I am the one that knows how all this works. I'm in the process of learning, and primarily I'm documenting what I'm learning with you all as I go. It's all good. Mining company says Asamatech, 2 miners put out an announcement saying Bitcoin payouts would be delayed today due to a Binance issue. Latest payout notes show they've gotten the Bitcoin back from Binance. Thanks for the update. I was wondering why the normal payout didn't go through, but I hadn't checked it. In particular, I guess we could go to, that's probably on their Twitter or something along those lines. But thanks for the update. See, I just learned something. All right. Remier Espinoza says, Asamatech, is it good to mine at Binance mining pool? I'm not a fan of Binance, but you know, it's like, I guess all centralized exchanges have their problems. For me in particular, I don't have access to it because of my geographical location either, though. Dan Sand says, Ask Navatech, if after 2.0 is not profitable eventually in months or a couple of years, a profitable mineable coin will rise, right? GPU mining is a mine and weight game for years to come. Right. Well, you're wanting confirmation bias here on things that I can't confirm for you because the future is unknown. And that is the way like things are. Like, wake up every day in gratitude, do what you can do, and then don't worry about the future so much because you're going to just drive yourself absolutely insane. In the case of this, first of all, it's not 2.0 that we're worried about. We're worried about the primary execution layer being converted to proof of stake. That's what we're concerned with as miners. ETH 2.0, which has been rebranded, not even really a thing anymore, is just Ethereum. All of the positives from that perspective, all the sharding, all that sort of stuff has been delayed way past the merge at this point. So I don't see that coming along. Now, the idea is that GPU mining has a lower barrier to entry, which means that more people are participating, which means that your transaction count goes up. Not necessarily the amount of money, but your transaction count goes up due to the miners. The other thing is that miners are going to be unwilling to sell at a loss. So if the coin is primarily being a primary factor of the amount of transactions on the network, then the price will follow whatever the base or the average power cost would be to get covered for that miner. So in turn, GPU miners would influence the increase of price of essentially whatever coin is decided to be mineable, provided that the development is good and it continues to move forward without any rug pulls and scams and other things that could happen that are unpredictable that we just will not know until it becomes a thing. We do have a $20 super chat, says from Get Money FB, says, would you trust BT miners for a large order? You're in talks with them right now. To be honest, I would like to fly out there and pick up. Feel free to talk to them about flying out there and picking up. I would trust them for the orders. One thing that I wouldn't trust any koi miners in particular because I'm having a lot of issues with those. And I'll update you guys when I get more information from BT miners as far as that goes. Their shipping from their New York warehouse took less than 3 days. So that was a good note from them. And then Get Money, thanks for the other $5 super chat. Says, I've seen a lot of bad reviews on Trustpilot recently. It looks like to be fake bad reviews because there's still 3.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. Let me get to talking with them again after. Here's the problem I know that they're running into. Anything that's on the site should be available in their New York warehouse. Anything that's not on the site, I think, is where they're running into troubles, and they are ordering from China, which is shut down right now. So let me get some more information from them. I reached out to them yesterday to get more information from you guys, and maybe give me a little bit to get an official statement from them and figure out exactly what's going on. From my perspective, I'm definitely having some issues. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt here, though, right? But you know, I got paid for ad revenue with a miner that has now been RMA'd, that they have delisted on their site, and that they cannot get replaced for me. That's where I'm at with them. But I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. don't worry if this thing goes sideways, it'll be up on, I'll have you guys backs and we'll give you the updates. As far as the original shipping process with the miners that I've gone through with them, the multiple, I did incognito one, like a private sale, like without my name or anything like that, to make sure that they did what they were, said they did, that the buying process went smoothly. That one went smoothly. The one where they knew it was me, that one obviously went very smoothly. So I have had good experience with them so far as ordering goes. And then the issue is with the coin miner, obviously, like we've talked about, and that RMA process. So that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully that gives you a background. Mike Wright says, ask Tech, why do you think there's a lack of development for miners on Flux? Reason I ask is because Mini Z is so much better than any other miner. And I think that's a good question. That's a question that I've had as well, Mike. I haven't gotten a clear answer. Mini Z hasn't been updated in ages. And as you know, right, about 20% better than any other miner currently available for Flux. It's wild. It doesn't really make any sense, right? So, and that's verifiable on the pool side too. So it is actually working good. Why haven't the other miners figured this out? Why hasn't LOL miner or T-Rex miner or anybody else figured it out? I don't know. Free Bosky says, at Son of a Tech, excuse me. Oh, we got this question again. Could miners fork ETH before the bomb and implement their own changes to remove the bomb, or are you way off the mark? It would be pretty much nearly impossible, because to do that, you would have to essentially fork ETH and make the chain longer, which means all the miners would have to move over to it before the bomb. And that's not going to happen, because you're essentially going to take a huge hit on your profitability. This was done before with Ethereum Classic. It didn't work out as well as people were expecting for Ethereum Classic, and I would assume it would work out even worse right now. Chadwick's Racing says, ask Tech, when paid from a pool mining Flux, are they liquidating the parallel assets and then sending you Flux? It depends on the pool you're mining on. Miner pool, that is how they do it. And a lot of other pools, that is how they do it as well. But in some, they'll pay it out to your Flux wallet with the parallel, or not to your Flux wallet, I guess, sort of, right? And it'll be a parallel asset as a token on a different chain, that sort of thing. But in most cases, they're just automatically doing that in the background for you, like Miner Pool, for example. Magic Lucky says, if Ergo fixes the roller coaster for hell difficulty problem, will you mine it along with Ethereum Classic post merge, since it doesn't use Core? Ergo would be a great option if they can figure out that difficulty problem. Because it's a really bad one. I don't know. The only other reservations with Ergo, of course, is going to be that you basically have, you're supposed to have a very intelligent mathematician that couldn't figure out how long the emissions were supposed to be. So they had to have a re-emissions contract. And that is just worrisome a little bit. Helix 8D Music says, ask Tech, does it make sense to begin now that 2 with a couple of 3080s and 37 non-light hash rate cards? I can't give you financial advice on that. If you're risk adverse, I'd say no. If you're willing to take the risk and you're not investing what you're not willing to lose, then I'd say, heck yeah, get into it, start learning about it. There's no harm in starting to learn to mine, because you will be learning about blockchain along in the process, and blockchain, regardless of, if GPU mining survives or only ASIC mining survives, or even if no mining is available at all, period, and it's just blockchain in some form or fashion, even if they're all CBDCs, you're going to have a better understanding of how it functions, and you're going to be prepared better for the future, which is our future. Blockchain is the future. I'm definitely confident in that. So you are learning about your future while you do it. Pay Me in Crypto says, at Silent Tech, would you pick up a 6600 for $320 and a 1660 Super for $360? You want the cheaper price, but hate tuning the AMD cards. Well, tuning a 6600 isn't that difficult, first of all, but the changes that you get is the 1660 Super is going to be better on more algorithms post, at least as of right now. I do need to retest some flux stuff, but for the most part, you will have more options on the 1660 Super post. Is that worth the extra $40? That's up to you, right? Dev Miner Derek says, at Silent Tech, any tips on preparing for the Texas heat as an at-home miner? Last summer was pretty rough having my rigs in my bedroom. I'm a renter, so modifications are very limited. So in the bedroom when I did it, now we weren't like a renter, but we had basically like 2 windows, you know, like let's say the windows are here. Yeah, these 2. Say they're these 2. You set up a rack right here, and you have an intake coming in here with all the intakes coming in on the miners here, and you have an exhaust on this side blowing it out. You can use windows in that manner and get high CFM fans, and that's what's going to do best. We were able to do we got all the way up to 4 gigahash and 150 square foot. We were using 60 amps of 240 volt, and we were able to basically be able to manage that. So you can do it, and you can do it without too many modifications. Obviously, the 240 volt, the extra amperage, not going to be a thing for you necessarily, unless you get approval from the landlord. But that's how you can basically vent it. You're not going to want to use that bedroom though, and so you know you kind of need a spare room to really set that thing up. If you're just using one rig, the other option is to utilize the garage, which I think I would lean towards better anyways. You can also expand more because it is hopefully also close to something like a laundry room or maybe something along those lines. So you can pull the power off of that laundry plug, and you don't necessarily need AC cooling them. You need essentially airflow. So you need to be pulling the heat away. So you could vent the garage, or one really good option is a lot of garages have an attic above them, and you could it just depends on your setup. You're gonna have, look, a lot of what happens with mining is like, you're gonna have to think outside the box. You're gonna have to critically think. If you have, like, let's say attic access from your garage, you could open that attic access and just put a fan in the attic access, sucking the heat out from the garage. That's an option. Then you could do maybe a couple vented door panels on the garage, or leave the garage door open while it's mining if you work from home. There's lots of different things you could do. The other options that a lot of people use, like from home mining to deal with the heat, is going to be like a grow tent. And you can basically set up a grow tent and have that exhaust pumped out, you know, up to the garage, right? You could have like the venting process run all the way up to the garage and be sucking the heat out of the grow tent and dumping it into the attic from the garage. There's all of those different options, right? But it requires critical thinking. I don't know exactly how all of your rental house is set up, what your options are, all that, right? So you're just gonna have to figure it out. But I would probably go grow tent in the garage and try to figure out a way to, hopefully, maybe even if you have a window in your garage that you can pump it out to, that's another option. Some garages have windows, so there is that too. Scott Schultz says, at Son of a Tech, have you planned ahead for possible downsizing in case of a big profit downturn? For example, selling GPUs off slowly to pay operating costs like rent and power. The problem is that you end up going the wrong direction. And I can tell you from the last super cycle, when I did do that, which was downsizing and selling it and selling GPUs and so on, that was not the way to go. The way to go is to buy more, right? That's the way to go, I think. So I haven't done it yet. We're going to try it, right? So this time I'm going to be unapologetically trying to expand as much as possible before the next bull run. And that will be, and then we'll see if it works. So catch me in 2025 and let's see if we make it, right? That's how I'm doing it. It's not financial advice. I did do it the other way. Didn't work out. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. You know, we make the changes as we can, but it didn't work out the first time. So Dan San says, Ask Tech used Asus 3070 non-light hash rate for $600. Oh, hold on. You get rid of this. And I got to go soon too, by the way. $10 per hash on ETH. Goodbye, in your opinion. 600 sounds decent. Yeah, especially for the 3070, which performs well in other algorithms as well. Golden Eye Forever says, at Son of a Tech, how about this? Would NVIDIA release a light hash rate unlock because nobody is buying the $1,000 plus 30 series GPUs now? It's possible they do. I don't really know, though. Brent says, am I still mining Varus coin? If so, are you going to do a video of it? We've already done a video of how to mine Varus coin. I am looking at doing a video on staking, though. We talked about that earlier in the show. People have used plywood in their garages as well to create wind tunnels. Those work really well too. But thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell so you're notified. Make sure you share the show out with everybody. Don't forget we're on Spotify as well. If you want to listen in the car and that's an easier platform for you to listen on, we're over there. If you want to go fully decentralized, we're on Odyssey. The only thing about Odyssey is I don't really get any revenue off of Odyssey, but it is the platform that I plan to move to if we can ever get the numbers and the revenue up there to a point to where it makes sense, primarily because, you know, we talk the talk of decentralization. We talk the talk of blockchain. That's a platform I really value. We are on Rumble as well. Not as big of a fan of Rumble. I'm just going to be straight up. It has a lot of weird issues with thumbnails not working. It's more centralized. It is centralized. The only thing that they like to tout is that they're a free speech platform. It's the same problem with Elon buying 100% of Twitter. It doesn't follow the fundamentals that I want the future of this world to move into. It doesn't mean I have anything against them in general, just like I wouldn't have anything against Twitter being owned by Musk in general, is, you know, other than the fact that it's centralization versus decentralization, which I consider to be the greatest battle of our lifetime. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next Tuesday.